Bonjour à tous, mesdames et messieurs, je suis Bineta Dieng, je suis entrepreneuse et je représente Hommes et Terre en fonction de directrice de Hommes et Terre au niveau du Sénégal. Donc je suis avec mes collègues, nous sommes très heureux d'être ici et nous vous remercions pour votre invitation. Donc Hommes et Terre, nous sommes une entreprise internationale. Donc, nous développons et exécutons des projets de régénération et de valorisation des écosystèmes, donc axés sur l'impact écologique, social et économique. Donc, nous régénérons des écosystèmes dégradés de manière rentable et durable, tout en maximisant donc l'impact écologique, social et économique. Donc, au Sahel, nous sommes dans la région de Tamba, plus particulièrement dans le département de Bakel. Donc, le besoin de la restauration donc, est là, au niveau de Tambacounda, dans les régions, dans le département de Bakel. Et depuis 2019, Hommes et Terre est présent au niveau du Sénégal. Et nous travaillons avec les communautés dans un modèle inclusif et participatif. Donc, et ce projet aussi est pour les communautés et avec les communautés. Donc, comme mon anglais est un peu sénégalais, je vais passer la parole à notre directeur des opérations, M. Gilles Van Hermen, qui va vous faire la présentation de Hommes et Terre. Je vous remercie. Merci.
Merci, Bineta. So, hello everyone. My name is Gilles. I'm head of operations, and we've been very busy last couple of weeks, so last minute we realized that Bineta speaks 3 local languages, French, Wolof, and Pulaar, but not English very well, so I'm going to take over the presentation. So I'm going to give you some background on Hommes et Terre. We started in Burkina Faso in 2017, so 5 years ago, restoring our first hectares of degraded land. And our first partner is right now still our main partner, and that's Ecosia. It's, I don't know, you probably heard of it, the search engine that plants trees, but they don't actually plant the trees, they work with organizations like us to do that. So we've managed to scale that model that we built in Burkina quite rapidly. So we're now partnering with 150 rural communities, most in Burkina, but we started in 2019 in Mali and in 2020 in Senegal. And so I was very happy to hear Jessica. We've worked even together because it's right up in the Great Green Wall region that we're working. So this picture was taken 2 weeks ago in Tambacounda, where we assembled our first 20 partner communities for what we call a general assembly of our villages. And that's what I'm here to explain to you today. But I wanted to start with why. I don't think I need to expand on land degradation, but it is important to stand still for a second, because it's a global phenomenon, but the Sahelian region is hit enormously hard by a combination of factors. And for example, a recent study showed that in Senegal, 34% of land is what they call in a state of degradation. I've lived in Burkina for 2 years and now in Senegal for half a year, and I can testify that if you travel around the country, these landscapes are very common, and desertification is real. So it's these rural communities actually see their land where their animals graze, where they cultivate, they basically see it disappearing. And it's a combination of factors, but I'm going to try to explain to you, first of all, a bit how the model of Hommes et Terre works, and I'm going to talk about what I think are really the key factors that will actually make the Great Green Wall, I think, a reality and not just an imagination. So I think our model is quite similar to what WeForest does. we work with this Valerani technique. So we create these micro basins in these desertified soils that manage to retain water, because water is the basis of all life. And we try to do that mechanized and then at large scale. Basically, the water basins are just the kickstart to a degraded ecosystem where things can actually start growing again. We go further than that and we try to restore a diversity of native Sahelian ecosystems. So let's say call it the dry forests with a diversity of tree species. Yeah, we do that with heavy community involvement. So I don't know if you noticed, but I'm kind of checking boxes which every project tries to check, but they're important. The communities are involved from the very beginning till the end of the project. And we do it in a large-scale intervention on common land. So it means that we've developed a method to sort of secure the land rights, which is, I think, very similar to the problematic explained by Oko, is that there are no official land rights in the Sahel. So it's partly owned by inheritance, partly by the state, and you need to manage both sides. And I think most importantly, what we try to do is we try to look at it like a long-term partnership. So the communities we work with, we're not donors, they're not our beneficiaries. We always say that we're partners. And together we go to the markets to develop a carbon project or to develop a tree planting project. And we work together with them on an equal basis. I think that's a key point. But after we've checked all those boxes, I wanted to tell you, after 5 years of experience of Hommes, Terre now on the ground in the Sahelian region, what for us, what is restoration really about, and how what should we nail? Sorry for the to make sure that the grey-green wall is a reality and not just an imagination and some trees planted. So I want to share 3 keys that we think are actually the fundamental keys, and it's managing a common good is one, habit change is the second, and then short-term incentives is a third. And as you can see, it's not really related to forestry or there's nothing really technical about it. And that's also the reason why we are called Hommes et Terre, and that means man and earth, and it means Homme first and then Terre. Because as you might have seen, the Terre, there's still a lot to learn, but most organizations are mastering that quite well. It's the Homme part that is difficult. So first one is managing a common good. What does that mean? It means that the Sahel is one big common good. There is no private land, everything is common. And so if you want to restore land, then you need to make sure that you attack the reasons why this land was degraded in the first place. Because otherwise, you can go and plant trees, but they'll just disappear again. Doesn't make many sense. And so we put an enormous amount of effort into working with these communities, into implying all of the villages, the surrounding villages, to map different land zones, to identify the land uses, to identify why this land was degrading, and to try and attack these factors. And so a funny example is that we've realized that it's not just a marketing picture on the left where you see the kids. We actually imply the kids. Why? Because they're usually the ones who, during the day when the farmers go to the fields, they're the ones accompanying the animals, the grazing animals. And grazing animals are a fundamental part of restoration. So you need to imply them, and they need to be aware of this project, and they need to know the ins and outs and the rules. And also, they're probably the ones who will benefit most from our actions today. So, secondly, changing habits and beliefs. So, if you want to change how the common good is managed, you need to change how these people, how they go about their daily habits, the things they do every day. And you need to also change the beliefs of what they think their role is, because most people don't believe they really have a role to play in their environment, and you need to change that belief. And so we believe that as much as you need forestry experts and technical monitoring and cartography, you need socio-economic experts and you need communicators. And we have those agents in the field who will try to work with the village to see, okay, how can how can we change your belief systems, not only what's, these couple of trees planted there. And then thirdly, short-term incentives. So what you see here is a picture that we did on our General Assembly. Is a village, I think it was the best village, who had a really great site where we saw the best results and we saw the most dynamism and really it's a beautiful site in Getche. And what we do is, with every village, we set up a transparent monitoring and scoring system, which scores Hommes, Terre for our intervention, but also the villages for their part in the partnership. And if the results are good, so if we, for example, generate the carbon we want to generate, or we generate the trees, then these people win as well, and we will actually remunerate them in cash with a whole system of management behind it to not just distribute cash somewhere. But basically it means that restoration is a long-term thing. In the Sahelian region, it takes, I think, 7 years or 8 years for most trees to become somewhat productive. And so you need to manage those first 7 years and actually make sure that they want the trees to remain and that they want the restoration to succeed. And the best way to do that is by setting up good remuneration systems, like we do in every company. And so I think the managing the common good, really changing their beliefs, and then creating short-term incentives, we believe that those are really fundamentally overlooked, and that they're keys to like a successful restoration project, especially in the Sahel. So finally, we're developing a project of 20,000 hectares in Senegal, in the region of Tambacounda. 4,000 hectares is already under restoration, with the first carbon certificates will be delivered in 2024, restoring 2 million tons of CO2. If you're interested to talk with us about that, we're happy to discuss. I don't think I need to tell about the different impacts, but I mean, I think everybody realizes that they're quite real. So it's not only about the carbon, it's about much more. So thank you. Like we say in Senegal, on the on est ensemble, we're together. So, thank you.